Video cameras can be off or on, but we do love to see you. I want to begin by recognizing Independence Blue Cross for their continued support of Impact. This makes the 7th year Independence Blue Cross has been the corporate sponsor of our annual meeting, and for that we are extremely grateful. The annual meeting is the high point of the year. It's the culmination of our work to review, research, and learn about the needs in the community in order to award high impact grants. To award these grants, it really does take all of us, and I want to tell you how it happens. It starts with building the grants pool. Last December, 431 women joined Impact and donated money to make these grants possible. Some members and non-members added extra money to the grants pool, which was a new option in 2020, and the grants pool grew. And at the end of last year, the board voted to pilot a new community awards program, and the pool grew again. So with that, the size of the grants pool was set at $420,000, and we were off and running. I'd like to add an additional thank you to all those who contributed extra funds last year to support our operations. There are members who gave above and beyond the membership donation, and some who secured matching gifts from their employers, as well as several sponsors. And we are so grateful for that help with funding our day-to-day operations. Our mission, as you know, is to engage women in philanthropy, and we accomplish this in many ways. Beginning in December, about 200 members become actively involved in the grant making process. They contribute hours and hours of their time to reading, research, and virtual site visits so they can make informed decisions. Impact is known for its core mission grants, which address unmet needs, raise the profile of smaller nonprofits, strengthen grantees, and allow grantees to use the funds where they are needed the most. Our educational programs also helped us be better philanthropists and citizens by focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion and grant making. Our newsletters kept us up to speed with the work of the grantees and the committees. I want to thank each and every participant. Simply by being a member, when you make your annual commitment to join, regardless of your level of involvement, you're making our community become more just, equitable, and healthy for everyone, and that is our goal. Our impact mission is supported by an outstanding administrator, Carrie Sundermeyer, and a board that is extremely dedicated, smart, and compassionate. And I know I'm just a little bit biased, but I've been working with many of these people for many years. And at this annual meeting, I'm wrapping up 3 years as your co-president, and it has been my greatest pleasure to serve. Now, I'd like you to see what we've been up to. The annual meeting program was sent out in advance, but in case you missed it, you can find a link to it in the chat room. Here it is again. And the program is like an annual report. It contains all the important facts and figures about the year, but you can read it for yourself and you don't have to listen to me cite them. And we have something much more interesting for you to see right now. That is the 2020 highlights video, which is very appropriately called the Impact of Impact100 Philadelphia. And as you watch, we hope you will enjoy your cocktail and snack created from the recipes sent to you in advance. After the video, which is about 4 minutes in length, you'll hear from Denise Horan, our nonprofit liaison co-chair, who will introduce the grantee speakers. I think you're going to have a wonderful evening.
Say my experience over the past 10 years has really instilled a growing admiration for what you've achieved and the impact you have on organizations as we move through the review process. Not even if you get to the final, but that process is so enriching and building. And I say that it's beyond the money that you bring. It's through the process that we engage in a meaningful way with your members, that we have provocative discussions, and you encourage growth and change, and you help us generate new ideas.
I think one of the biggest challenges for the coming year, there's been no surprise that we have an upsurge in violence in Philadelphia. And so for the biggest challenge for us, I think, is for us to really think about how do we maybe expand that work or work with other organizations to create healing circles. This week, got a call from Mothers in Charge. They found out that the work we were doing, with Intergenerational Healing Circle, they asked us how we were formed. We told them we got this grant from Impact 100, and they are now putting a grant themselves to create trauma-informed.
Is, other than voting for people who will pass laws and policies to address racism in our systems, what can we as individuals do, as philanthropists, as supporters, as allies?
Because I think what's most important for everybody to remember is the idea of doing equity is something that's not daunting as you think. Joanne Levy was my equity, right? There were some days I just needed somebody to actually acknowledge my presence as a person.
2014, we started the Founders Fellows program with 5 young women between the ages of 25 and 35. Currently, there are 15 fellows, and over the last 7 years, we have had 29 women participate in the program.
It surprised me that Impact operates, in my opinion, not as a startup culture, but it has certain aspects of a startup culture, where it's like, if you have an idea, you can take it, you can run with it, and you can execute on it. The organization is always just looking like, how can we get better at doing this work? And that has just been a theme that I've seen. And I think being a part of Impact my first year during the pandemic, I really got to bear witness to that. And all the changes that were made like across this past year has just been very awe-inspiring. And that has also just inspired me to also take that sentiment to my own work. Like if I see something that needs to be done better, like do it and lean into it. Yeah, so that has been most surprising to me about Impact, but very much a good surprise.
Impact works so well together, with it being so many different individuals, different women. We're a membership of over 400 women, and at least 200 participate in the grant process. So having so many different viewpoints and voices in a room, yet still being able to maintain that level of respect and just synergy in this process, I think that it's a really great standard and example that Impact sets.
If you take nothing else away, let the message be that you should never underestimate what it means to an organization like ours to have the validation of such a dynamic and informed group, and how you've inspired us.
I cannot tell you enough how much we're appreciating that you recognize our work. It is about work, but it's also about our heart and what we want to do and achieve with our community. We help them one family and one child at a time. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart to you, because this is going to make a big difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolyn. What a wonderful video to highlight Impact 100. Our members, grantees, and educational programs. I am Denise Horan, and along with Alice Hausman, am a co-chair of Impact 100's nonprofit liaison team. Our focus area committees, known as FACs, have chosen an exceptional and varied list of nonprofits that support diverse communities and offer greatly needed services to their clients. The grantees' contributions exemplify Impact 100's goal of making our community more just, equitable, and healthy for everyone. As these organizations move beyond our year of COVID, we are excited to hear about their plans for the future. With a big congratulations, I am honored to introduce in alphabetical order this year's grantees. ACHIEVEability with our family FAC, located in West Philadelphia, where 1 in 3 residents live below the poverty line. ACHIEVEability's goal is to eradicate the cycle of generational poverty in Philadelphia. ACHIEVEability utilizes a holistic approach to address the root causes of poverty, and they partner with individuals to create specific action plans to help them achieve their goals. Here to tell us more about ACHIEVEability is Executive Director Jamila Harris Morrison.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Denise, for that gracious welcome. We're still riding high off the energy from this weekend. So, Emily, I think you have the slide. Okay, good evening, everyone. You can go to the next slide. On behalf of Achievability and our board of directors, we are thrilled to be here with you this evening, celebrating the 2021 Impact 100 grant cycle. This has been a truly inspiring experience meeting with the Impact 100 members and my fellow finalists who are all engaging in incredible work to make our region a better place. Next slide. At 26%, Philadelphia has the highest poverty rate of the 10 largest cities. With more than 100,000 children living in poverty, Achievability is a community-based nonprofit where every day we work to end the cycle of poverty for Philadelphia families. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our 3 programs. As we know, poverty sits at the intersection of many of the challenges facing distressed communities today. And we partner with families through our 3 core programs: the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, Achievability Connects, and Work Smart West Philly to overcome this reality. Next slide. Our Family Self-Sufficiency Program combines affordable housing, a coaching team, and leverages education to help families overcome poverty and realize their dreams. Next. Achievability Connects, we started in 2006 to respond to emerging community needs. Next. Achievability Connects is our one-stop shop for families to receive help to prevent eviction, strengthen financial skills, improve digital skills, access critical resources, and engage in opportunities to make a difference in their community. Next. In Work Smart West Philly, we launched in 2015 in response to emerging needs of residents for good quality jobs. Next. Work Smart West Philly helps job seekers skill up for living wage careers, achieve economic stability, and move out of poverty. Next. 2020 challenged us all. This year has been frustrating, overwhelming, enlightening, and at times just simply heartbreaking. It's also reiterated how crucial our work is. From a global pandemic to a racial reckoning, transitioning to remote work, and pivoting to meet the needs of the families we serve, this year has caused us to lean on each other in ways that we could never have imagined. Next. And yet we persisted. Our team remained optimistic and felt a renewed sense of purpose in the collective trauma we experienced. Supporters and volunteers like you helped us collect and distribute crucial supplies. Families banded together to provide childcare to their neighbors when schools closed. And we even had parents graduate from college while navigating remote school, a new world, and raising their children. Families were the bright spots during the last year as they trusted us to help them weather the storm. Next. And the impact was incredible. Over 2,800 adults and children were served. Almost 200 families were provided assistance to remain stably housed. We gave out over 3,000 meals to replace in-school food programs, 28,000 diapers, and over 2,500 units of PPE to keep our community safe. Next. We welcome all of you to join us in the fight to end poverty for families. This response was not possible without our village of support, and there are so many ways for you to get involved, and there's still so much work to be done. Next. And as we reflect on the last year, we are incredibly grateful to be celebrating our 40th anniversary this fall. And it's amazing because we kind of feel like we're just getting started. We're looking forward to getting our community vaccinated, launching our first paid job training program, and building a new playground in 2022. Next. No family should live in poverty, and with partners like you, we can make this a reality. Cherie said it best. I knew I could get my life under control if given a chance. Support from Impact 100 members helps families like Cherie's have a fighting chance. Your investment is key to lifting communities out of poverty and contributing to a thriving Philadelphia, and we are so grateful for your support and continued partnership. Thank you so much, and we look forward to getting to know more of the members individually. Take care.
Thank you, Jamila. Next, we will hear from African Family Health Organization, AFAHO, the Health and Wellness, FAC. Addressing and advocating for health equity in the African and Caribbean immigrant communities is the foundation of AFAHO's work, focusing on health, human, and educational services. Each year, AFAHO helps approximately 1,500 individuals representing 26 countries. Their staff speaks 12 different languages. Please join me in welcoming Executive Director Oni Richards.
Good evening, everybody. I'm so honored to be here tonight to represent AFAHO and to accept this award. And I think we're going to start with a video of AFAHO.
So we did the vaccine clinic. Vaccine access for our communities has been not so good in the city of Philadelphia, where African and Caribbean populations often who have limited English proficiencies and are unable to access other vaccine sites in the city due to immigration status, back to the same lack of access due to immigration status. And so we advocated with the city to ensure that we could bring the vaccines to the community. And we are the community. The community trusts the services that AFAHO provides, and so we wanted to ensure that we could provide that here and make it easily accessible, provide language interpretation services, just so the community has a place to come. And we hope to do this on a monthly basis so that we can address that disparity in terms of vaccine access. I think we have to take advantage of that. So many in our home countries don't have access to the vaccine. And so I feel like we have this access and we have to make use of it.
Big thank you to the guy behind
Thank you for
this
having
whole
me.
event. That was a pleasure.
And thank you to the doctor.
Thank you again. As the video shows, AFAHO is all about access, and we are here for the African and Caribbean immigrant community to ensure access to healthcare services and human services and educational services. And when we think about access, especially in terms of healthcare, what does access mean? Access means trust, access means safety, access means cultural sensitivity, it means language inclusion, it means geographic access, and the ability to afford healthcare, whether or not you have health insurance or whether or not you're documented. And that is what AFAHO offers. It's a safe space for the community to come in and get a range of services. And with this funding from Impact100, thank you so much for making this long-term goal we've had of increasing access for our community around healthcare. And so being able to open up this clinic with this funding is going to allow us to not only provide basic healthcare services for our community, but to also understand those psychosocial determinants that impact their health that probably are not detected in a normal doctor's visit. And so this community clinic will provide the time to build that trust that allows people to feel safe, to disclose these issues that are impacting their health so that we can work with them in order to craft interventions that can truly improve their healthcare outcomes. And so we're also grateful to Impact100. We're looking forward to this partnership with you. Congratulations to all of our other colleagues that won this grant. And thank you.
Thank you, Oni. Our next grantee is CB Community Schools, the Education FAC. CB is a high school dedicated to educating and supporting children in the child welfare system. They use a competency-based learning model that aligns with a healing-centered framework. Their 90% graduation rate is double Philadelphia's overall rate for foster care children and nearly triple Philadelphia's rate for juvenile justice-involved youth. Here to tell us more about CB Community Schools is Jason Ray, CB Community Schools Vice Chairman.
Thanks so much, Denise. like you mentioned, I'm the board vice chair of CB Community Schools. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. So thank you, Impact 100, for having us. It's also a blessing to be involved with CB Community Schools. While the past 18 months have been difficult due to COVID-19, we are really making real change in the lives of students that have been displaced from their school. CB educates, engages, ensures that students in the child welfare or juvenile justice system learn, heal, and grow into really caring and confident citizens of the world. And CB does an excellent job of combining both social and emotional learning with competency-based education. Back in February, I visited CB Community Schools for a Black History Month program in which their students and teachers displayed a wide range of talents in the arts. It was truly inspiring. And it just reminded me how much CB is a special place that really provides a safe space for students to truly learn and express themselves. Currently, the school is supported by philanthropic efforts, and we're embarking in a strategic planning engagement to help develop a more certain and sustainable financial model. And we really appreciate Impact 100's for acknowledging and supporting the work at CB. It is really, honestly validating to us to be a recipient of your organization's grant. And we will use it to improve a number of things, including our school database, help us solidify new partnerships with other schools and providers, open another school location. It's not CB Community Schools for no reason. We want to expand and grow the model over time. And lastly, build teacher capacity to serve our student population. So thank you so much for the consideration and for including us in your process. We look forward to being partners on the long term with Impact 100 and learning from not just the organization, but the members involved. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. Please welcome CCATE, the environmental FAC. CCATE's mission is to ignite social transformation by developing and empowering the Latinx community through culture, art, training, and education. CCATE serves more than 250 families in Norristown, offering a variety of programs, including food distribution, after-school activities, reading circles, college preparatory classes, and more. Please join me in welcoming Executive Director Obed Arango.
Thank you. Thanks, Impact 100, for having me here and for having CCATE today. My name is Obed Arango. I'm the founder and executive director of CCATE, and I'm here in the room of the Artivistas, which is the woman empowerment group of CCATE. Symbolically, I am here honoring Impact 100 today. The strength of CCATE is the community and all the talents that we bring together as a Hispanic immigrant community, as Latino community, to create a space of art, creativity, social justice. The funding that we will have is the idea to create and to start the Plaza Latinoamericana, a place that will celebrate our culture, our tradition, food, and also sustainability. And the best way to honor the community of CCATE is bringing their voices today. For that reason, the rest of the time, we will use it watching the following video. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Gracias.
Unity.
Family.
Comunidad.
CCATE es un oasis.
CCATE en una palabra es como una familia donde puedes aprender muchas cosas.
CCATE para mí es mi familia.
Amor, confianza y familia. Me abrió a aprender y a querer seguir aprendiendo.
Places like CCATE are important because they help us learn more about our environment and help us coexist with nature and everything around us.
Para mí CCATE es un lugar de refugio, un lugar de aprendizaje continuo.
CCATE has a lot of positive impact on the young community, exposing them to explore different avenues and creative, artistic.
CCATE helps like girls my age with how your bodies function and how to protect yourselves at night.
So when I think about CCATE, the word is empowering. And so this, what represents for me is that making them stronger and more confident, not only as an individual, but as a community. I find that it's not only going to be beautiful, it's not only going to be safe as a space, but I do think that this is going to be a place where they're going to be able to express, explore, learn with all their senses.
El mayor impacto que CCATE tiene nosotros como comunidad es lo que su misión dice, y es empoderarnos, es hacernos reconocer nuestras habilidades, nuestros talentos, pero sobre todo nuestra solidaridad entre nosotros mismos como comunidad. Nos empodera de cierta forma que dar y recibir es un acto de amor en el cual todos tenemos esa habilidad. Todos damos, todos servimos, todos recibimos. En todos los aspectos, en las áreas, en las culturas, en las artes, nos empodera de una manera en la que nos rectifica nuestro valor como seres humanos.
Thank you. Gracias por esta tarde.
Thank you, and gracias, Obed. Please welcome Theater Horizon, Arts and Culture FAC. Theater Horizon is a unique community and people-centered arts organization serving the racially diverse Norristown community. It uses the transformative power of storytelling to foster empathy and create an inclusive Now Bong Jensen. Now I think you are muted.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Sorry. It's more embarrassing when you're in theater and that happens. So thank you all for bearing with me. It's very humbling to go last in this inspiring group. We're truly honored by this, and thank you to Impact100 and all the grantees for this award. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Theater Horizon. Our mission is to use the power of storytelling to foster empathy and create an inclusive home for artists, audiences, and alike. And Emily, if you want to move to the next slide, you can read a little bit more about it. Thanks. And you can go to the next one too. Like our friends at CCATE, we are also in Norristown, which is a very interesting community. There is no one majority. It's about a third Latinx, a third African American, a third white, 10% everything else. And it's been a really interesting time for us as an organization to think about what that means to be a theater in a place that's really a microcosm for America, especially when, you know, a large swath of the American population has not felt welcome historically at mainstream theaters. So we've been doing a lot of work during the pandemic to really become a community arts center, including turning our physical space into a center of online learning for 24 kids in Norristown who are doing Zoom school from our space as a way of inviting people in. If you could go to the next slide, that would be great. We serve our community through our education programs. We run free and subsidized education programs in Norristown, as well as a 16-year-old autism drama program that now serves kids in Norristown, but also kids coming in from 6 different states and Canada who have joined us virtually during the pandemic because they did not have an offering in their local communities. We've also been thinking in our artistic programs, Emily, if you could go to the next slide, about how to turn our audiences and community members into active participants in the art making. So rather than saying, we're doing a show, come watch it, we're reaching out to them and saying, what do you want to make with us? So throughout the pandemic, we've been running a series called Art Houses, where we partner community members with professional theater artists to create virtual plays over Zoom and premiere one per month with people in Norristown. We're continuing this work on the next slide with a big project called Our Norristown. I was in a workshop for this today, where we are reaching out to community organizations, to educators, to young people around Norristown to build a show that will be outside, public, and free to everyone in Norristown in the fall of 2022. So we are working with community members who want to perform, who want to tell stories to go on the show, and inviting them to be a part of it. If we could go to the next slide, that would be great. And all of this is really encompassed in this initiative we're launching called The Third Space, which is really about what does an arts organization look like in the 21st century? How can it encourage people to not only come and be audience members, but to interact across perceived boundaries? You can go to the next slide. And so we're doing this through our education programs, through our artistic programs, inviting people to not only now be participants in the art making, but also make decisions for the company through a community advisory board, and also with the work of our anti-racist action plan that's seeking to dismantle a lot of the racism that's historically existed in the theater industry. You can go to the next slide. So this grant is really allowing us to persist in this work, including a residency specifically for Black artists, to deepen our relationship with Norristown youth and reach even more people on the autism spectrum, to offer bilingual education programming, and to do community art making projects. You can go to the next slide. And again, just thank you so much for this award. It's a gift to be in Norristown. It's a gift to be with all of you. Thank you so much to Impact 100.
Thank you, Nell. Our congratulations and thanks to all of our 2021 Impact 100 grantees. What valuable work you provide in the community. We would also like to thank all of the nonprofits that participated in our grant cycle this year. It is heartwarming to see how these organizations are moving forward so successfully after such a challenging 2020. To all of our grantees, my co-chair Alice Hausman and I, and the entire nonprofit liaison team look forward to working with you this year. I will now turn the floor to co-president, Suzanne Wilcox.
Thank you, Denise. And congratulations again to our 5 outstanding core mission grantees. As Jamila noted and others, 2020 certainly challenges us all, and especially the nonprofit community. So thank you for your vital and inspiring contributions to the greater good of our community. Now it is my great pleasure to tell you about our new Community Awards program.
Suzanne, unmute.
Okay, sorry, I tried to unmute, but just like Nell, I had a problem with it. So we launched this Community Awards project this year to recognize smaller nonprofits doing outstanding work without significant funding from other funders. So our goals would be inclusive, to support under the radar nonprofits addressing critical needs, and to eliminate the burden of proposal writing. We look for organizations where awards could have a high impact through financial support and by highlighting the work these grassroots organizations do. Unlike the core mission grant process, there was no application process here. Instead, a committee of 16 impact members studied issue areas in need of funding. They conducted extensive research to identify organizations working on those issues and eventually came up with the 3 award finalists. In addition to the committee's work, every impact member had the opportunity to be part of the process through member surveys. And based on their survey responses, the committee focused on 3 issues: gun violence, education and job training, and hunger and food insecurity, and then selected 3 small, outstanding nonprofits working to address these issues. All impact members then had a chance to vote, just as with our core mission grants, and to decide on the funding amounts for each awardee. So now those community awards recipients, we are awarding $5,000 to the Chester Community Coalition, another $5,000 to Sisters Returning Home, and finally we're awarding $10,000 to Yay Philly. I'll tell you first about Chester Community Coalition. CCC seeks to heal the psychological and emotional impact of homicides and to reduce trauma-related reactive violence in the city of Chester. In 2020, more than 5,500 people were engaged in CCC's programs, including free counseling, art therapy, group therapy, and more. CCC extends its reach through partnerships that increase the collective impact of all partner organizations. This community award recognizes CCC's instrumental work to address the urgent issues of gun violence and mental health in Chester, which has one of the highest murder rates in the country. Next slide. Sisters Returning Home offers job-related training and mentoring to women released from incarceration who face significant reentry barriers. They help women establish and achieve goals around employment, housing, education, and reconnecting with family. This organization has helped more than 1,000 women transition back to their families and communities. We hope that this community award not only provides meaningful funds, but also recognizes Sisters Returning Home's empowerment and support of women who face high risks as they transition back to the community. And lastly, Yay Philly works with teens to interrupt the cycle of gun violence in West and Southwest Philadelphia. Yay provides safe spaces, food, paid opportunities, mediation and de-escalation skills, and creative outlets. Recognize the connection between food insecurity and violence. Yay ensures that families have consistent access to groceries. Yay is renovating its garage into a community grocery store to increase access to fresh, affordable foods and to achieve food justice within these neighborhood food deserts. Impact100's Community Award recognizes Yay Philly's dedicated leadership and outstanding Teen-led programs. One example, in response to economic hardships and increased gun violence, especially in this era of COVID, Yay Teens recently distributed groceries, pet food, and gun locks at a giveaway event in the neighborhood. So congratulations to all three of you on your awards. I would like to note that this is a pilot program and made possible only through the generous contributions of members who increased their donations and non-members who contributed to the grants pool. Thank you too to Impact100's board, which allocated financial resources for this inaugural effort. With your support, we can continue to grow our funding of terrific organizations such as these. The more members and supporters we have, the more grants and awards Impact100 can provide for organizations doing critical work in the greater Philadelphia region. And you don't need me to tell you, the need is great. Collective giving, as we've seen tonight, is powerful. By pooling our resources, we can strengthen communities, build connections, and expand the impact of philanthropy. Please join the women of Impact100, 431 strong this year, by going to our website, which is on the screen now, www.impact100philly.org, and click on the Join Donate link at the top right. The deadline to join is November 15th, but why wait? As we wrap up this year's grant cycle, we already have begun growing next year's grant pool. I especially thank current members who have renewed and new members who have recently signed on for 2022. Here's what some of our members say about Impact100.
Well, definitely the part where I have been able to engage with and meet like-minded individuals. You definitely get exactly that out of the organization. I've been really inspired by the careers and the individuals that I've met and the things that they're doing and the passion that they have for the community and for giving back in a way that is unique. I think that collective giving is not something I was familiar with, is not something that everyone is familiar with. And I've been really inspired by this community that's formed around being able to do something like give a $100,000 grant that we couldn't necessarily do on our own.
That it is a truly egalitarian group. I've been able to jump in right away get into leadership roles just because I wanted to, and really be a part of it all just very quickly.
And I was very inspired just having a very candid conversation with them about the work that Impact was currently doing, and also its need to also diversify. So I became really interested in joining the organization, and I started off, as I mentioned, as a young philanthropist, and then eventually transitioned to a board role. So I've really enjoyed not only, of course, initially hearing about the work that Impact's been doing, but now being a part of it is that much more meaningful.
We are able to make grants that are much bigger than anything that I could do on my own. And so the thought of having real impact on some of these organizations is really very appealing.
I just went to a site visit and got to meet a constituent, a young woman who is being helped by one of the applicant organizations we have. And this woman her life and her children's lives have completely turned around.
Well, one of the things I would say to people who are thinking about getting involved is, one, you can see your $1,000 really go much farther than you would ever imagine. And two, it's a great group of women and you'll enjoy getting to know them. And then lastly, we're doing great work, and you can get as involved or as little involved as you want. And there's not many organizations where you have that choice.
I would love to see us get to 1,000 members or more. So we would have a pot of $1 million to give in a year. That would be really phenomenal. So I think we should set that as a goal.
Thank you, ladies. Couldn't have said it better. Before we go, a couple of things. I'd like to thank and congratulate our annual meeting committee led by Nancy Gottlieb, Eve Prensky-Rowe, and Claudia Williams for putting together this virtual meeting, and to Mary Broach with big assists from Renee Applegate and Eve Prensky-Rowe for putting together your detailed finalist packets. It was a lot of work, and your efforts paid off beautifully. I also want to take a moment right now to thank my co-president, Carolyn Ashburn, who you met at the top of the program, for her outstanding leadership. This is the end of her 3 years as co-president, during which she has overseen and steered growth in this organization, including record membership levels, a focus on diversity and inclusion, and the development of a strategic plan to take us forward after her departure from the board. I will miss our regular meetings, and especially her wise counsel, her patience, her consistently warm and generous spirit. So on behalf of the board and all our membership, thank you, Carolyn. And finally, before we go, please unmute your audio and make sure your screen is in gallery view so we can conclude this evening together as a community. I've got to switch mine to gallery view. Okay, can we see people? You see everybody? Lots of people? So let's raise our glasses. In a final toast to our 2021 grantees and awardees.
Congrats.
And members.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Let's give ourselves a round of applause.
Thank you so much.